beautiful. So our first year of marriage.
So one of our tips for surviving...
You're looking at the screen.
I wasn't looking at the screen.
I know I was.
So one of our tips for surviving marriage so far is communication. Everybody says to like learn how to communicate and to make sure that you communicate well, but I don't think that's the right way to put it. It's figuring out how to communicate with each other. I don't really know how I'm trying to explain it.
No, communication is important.
Communication is important, but it's like communicating about what and
Don't
how.
be afraid to talk about anything you're thinking about.
Yeah, I guess that's the most important part. So like,
a lot of people are shy or embarrassed to talk about their feelings or what they're thinking about or anything, and that is what will drive a wedge between you, because you'll always be thinking about these things in your head but you'll never talk about them. And yeah, you should always feel comfortable to talk to your husband or wife about anything you're thinking about. Boyfriend, girlfriend too, same thing. You should always feel comfortable. If you're not, then you probably shouldn't be together.
yeah,
And you should learn to talk about anything.
like communication is like a huge part of a relationship, and it's not communication in terms of, you know, discussing what you want for dinner or, you know, anything like that. It's communicating about the thoughts that you're having, even if they're not something that necessarily you want to bring to the relationship. Like earlier on this year, I had to confront something that had been in my head for a few months, and I thought I'd just bottle it up inside and not express it, but in fear of losing Dan, you know, if I brought that out of my mind and vocalized it, I thought I'd lose Dan, which was, you know, having thoughts about other guys, and that was something that was really hard for me to come to terms with. Personally, I'm not a hugely sexual person anyway, so for me it was really challenging having thoughts about like other guys, like sexually and things like that, but that was incredibly hard for me to communicate, because if I said that, you know, Dan could have quite easily left me because he thought I wanted to cheat, which wasn't the case, but I just had to vocalize it and get it out there and share it with him, because it was something that was in my mind. And communicating, you know, something like that with someone that you love is extremely difficult, but you have to not be scared to do that, because if Dan left me, then Dan wasn't the person for me, and like, you know, we're still together and we've managed to like work past that, and it's important that we're able to, you know, discuss it. Granted, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world for him to hear either, but I mean, after that, like, our relationship has grown so much stronger, and we're a lot happier now because I'm not constantly bottling up inside like, oh, I checked this guy out, should I do that, shouldn't I do that? And I was able to vocalize it with Dan.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, everyone has those thoughts, and it's good to talk about those, and, you know, because I have the same thoughts. So
it's not about being jealous of it or anything like that. Like, obviously, if you do feel jealous, like, that's a human reaction, and we both feel jealous about it, but it's very healthy to be able to talk about it. It was really important that we talked about it.
Yeah. And, you know, just because you're married doesn't mean you can't be with other people. It's really about what's good for you at that point in your life, really, and if you're both okay with it, you know. And we don't want to be with other people like separately, but, you know, we did consider, you know, being with someone else. Obviously not now because of the virus, but, you know, that's always an option in the future. And yeah, so it's just life.
Yeah, I think, you know, like, I personally was a super hell-bent on being with one person for the rest of my life, and I really struggled with the idea of thought of seeing Dan with somebody else or somebody else with Dan and him getting pleasure from somebody else, like that really like would mess me up. And it still does in my head, the idea of it, you know, it does turn me off and stuff. There's some guy chasing a chicken. But I think it's something that is healthy to talk about, healthy to acknowledge that we do have thoughts about other people and stuff. And I now understand why people who have been married for 20 years, 30 years do introduce other people into their relationship, because I think for someone to have to condemn themselves to just only ever thinking about that one person and being with that one person for the rest of their life is going to lead to cheating and, you know, negative things for each person in that relationship, because it's not human instinct to be like that. That's a society taught thing. By all means, I'm not saying that I want to go out and sleep with a bunch of different people every like freaking week and stuff like that, but it's definitely healthy to talk about it and express it. So I think that it is an important thing to talk about.
And I'm sure there are those people who just want to be with one person and they find each other and they only are with each other their whole life and they never want to be with anyone else. That's totally, I mean, there's both ends of the spectrum on that. So just depends on who you are. But, you know, I'm not religious or anything, so it's not like I believe I'm going to hell because we think about being with other guys. So it's really just about, you know, communication. And he bottled it up for a long time, and subconsciously I knew something was going on and he didn't want to talk about it, and I was trying to get him to talk about it because I knew that there was something going on, and it like caused me so much stress and yeah, it was just hard to deal with. So, but then finally we talked about it, and a few months later we're here today and we're doing way better. So
communication, guys.
Yeah.